Well, hello everyone. It's like I'm Matt. It's like you're talking to you about. It's like with the math, right? If most of us, remember, it's like this is an old cell phone right here. Of course, it's like it's like a Motorola cell phone you have. It's like for a prepaid phone right here. But I remember this kind of takes me back to the time to where that whenever I was young, it is that maybe about maybe 15, 16 years old that I remember walking up to a payphone. It is and then knowing about not a phone about this size. I'm talking about maybe one of those big phones, maybe at about this size right here. It's like all of a sudden with where I can put my chin up to it and rest my head on the top of it, whatever it is. Knowing about the thing that the type of say China box it is that you put the coins and stuff in. But other than that is knowing about you walk up to a phone and then knowing about if you want to call out of the area or if you want to make a local call, was a lot of times the rates would be about 50 cents, maybe 75 cents or so just to make a phone call. It is. And you're probably wondering, I'm like, that you dial the number on the phone and all of a sudden it's like, after about 10 minutes it's like, your time has expired. Please insert 15 cents for the next 5 minutes or whatever, for the next 15 minutes or whatever the rates were. If it was like 5 cents a minute, something like that, or maybe 25 cents, for every 5 minutes or something like that. But knowing about that, because this reminds me, knowing about it's like that I am a person that you say is like which I have like about 9, 10 phones altogether. Of course, the number of phones I have, here it say around the house it is, but knowing that with this phone right here is no longer activated, but then of course this was the very first phone, of course, that I went ahead and got whenever I, had my part-time job, my very first part-time job, I went and got this phone, and I remember it was over $100, and if most of us, even remember shopping on eBay, like Amazon or half.com, those internet sites, if most of us can remember about the price estimate, and I can remember that they were about $100 or something like that for the phone. And knowing about me is that I can maybe plug it into the charger. I probably know where the charger is, plug it into the charger. But other than that, and knowing about that really that the only thing I can really use it for is maybe the alarm clock or something. But does it have text message? I think this technology right here was before text messaging was even around. Like nowadays with the stuff our cell phones do nowadays, that I don't even think that this phone right here does text messaging. Just think about it. It's like don't have a touch screen or nothing. But this right here is an example right here, you see, of a phone. But then of course with this phone right here, of course, it's knowing about each time I make a phone call. It is knowing about that. Knowing about is the rates. It's like the monthly rates and stuff. Knowing about it's like that each time I make a call, that for whatever reason it's going to remind me of walking up to a payphone. It is and putting the coin into one of those machines, those pay machines, and then of course you're making a phone call. And I remember the ones that were the phone calls that were within about 50 or 100 miles away or so, did add up to some money. I think about $3.50, and a lot of times it had been like dimes and nickels and quarters and stuff like that just to make the call. And a couple of times it put the money in there once or twice, and then it would ask for more, and then I think the estimated time was about 10 minutes or so, something like that. But anyway, it kind of reminds me of the story, but knowing about what all I have now is knowing about that. I feel pretty proud, for what all I have now is. It's like with the Skype. It's like you got that right here is with the Skype webcam, and then of course it's like Magic Jack. But other than that, it's like that's really it's like as far as I know about what I have to say is knowing about with technology is that as long as it works, that's really what I ask for. Other than knowing about the fact about if the rates are really promising, and I would recommend that if you're going to be getting a phone, at least it's like work it out. It's like with the company it is that knowing about if you use something or if you don't use it. But on the other hand too, that knowing about if most of us have seen the other videos I did that talking about with Magic Jack is like the rates, and then of course phones, accessories, and all that other stuff. But then knowing about that. It's like with the phones that with most companies nowadays that their rates sometimes they go up between maybe $1.30, something like that, per call within range or something like that. But on the other hand too, that more likely you could probably think about that I don't know if I would say that it's cheaper or if it's more expensive. But then on the other hand too, that with now since with our cell phones, and of course with Skype, those other companies, it is that more likely you could probably think about. I keep thinking that if you can have access to it at your own home, then more likely that's what you ask for. But other than that, it's like talking about with the math. It's like talking about with me and the math and the math, the facts. It's like talking about. It's like with the math.